Hello, it's me, James Henry, and I'm coming with a weekly thought or message practice that might be hopefully helpful in your life. A reminder you are infinitely precious and unconditionally loved for the gift you already are. I was thinking about nourishment this week because I spent last week preparing for a message, a sermon that I gave on Sunday about food, about what real nourishment might be. It's more than food, perhaps. And as I did, I thought perhaps a little bit more focus on a way of understanding and practicing getting nourishment in our lives. Now, as I thought about it, I began to think about the relationship that is nurtured in getting nourishment. For instance, food I can have a healthy relationship with my food, or I can have an unhealthy relationship with my food. And the unhealthy relationship would be eating only food that is probably not good for me, or using food as a way to anesthetize myself for other challenges in my life, as a way of comforting myself. And it's a very natural to develop that kind of relationship with food at some point. Sugar sometimes makes me feel good. Now, the aftermath of that is that it also makes me feel bad. So I have to be careful when I start consuming sugar, that I recognize that while I might enjoy it, eventually I'm going to pay the piper, so to speak, for that relationship. What about relationships with other folks in the world? Are those nourishing relationships? Or do you see the people in your life as something other than another I am who is in connection to you? For instance, I love my wife and we share a life together, and there are a lot of things about our relationship that I find very, very nourishing. But it's not nourishing when I start to see her as someone who works in my kitchen, as a kitchen worker, or a maid who cleans up my house. When I start to see her as an object that helps me fulfill only my desires, then that relationship is not a good relationship anymore, and it's no longer nourishing to her or to me. A nourishing relationship is a respectful relationship, a healthy relationship, an encouraging relationship. And so I look out at my daffodils. I talked about this on Sunday, and they nourish me. I don't do anything to them. I cut around them when I'm cutting the grass during the year. I encourage them to grow mainly by my thoughts and energetic presence. I don't do anything to them because my experience of myself is that I tend to kill plants, not on purpose, but I do. So I just watch them appear, and I receive them as the gift that they are, just as a gift. I don't imagine them to be more or less than they are, which is daffodils, beautiful gifts that I receive. We can have an unhealthy relationship with just about anything. I can have an unhealthy relationship I talked about with food, with other people. I can have it with substances. You know, the occasional beer is probably fine for me. The occasional glass of wine is probably fine for me, or a hard cider or something, a drink. But when I come to depend on those for my mood or the way I experience the world, then that relationship has no longer become a nourishing, healthy relationship. It's now an unhealthy relationship. So nourishment, just about anything in life can be nourishing. Listening to a fine piece of music, whatever you consider to be a fine piece of music, when it lifts you, when it encourages you, when you feel good listening to it, when it brings out the rhythm inside of you, those are good things. So I encourage you this week to find the things that nourish you. Maybe try something new. Maybe you'll be nourished by some other thing, but also pay attention to the things that you think are nourishing you. A television show, a relationship that you always come back from feeling bad, food that you only eat when you're feeling bad about yourself. Heck, the nourishment that you feel about your relationship with your body. Do you hate your body, your appearance? Are you listening to advertisers or to peers who have told you you are too fat, too skinny, too tall, too short, too wrinkled, not wrinkled enough, that your eyes are the wrong color? If you're listening to that, then it's hard to feel nourished by the very body that is the way you experience this world. At least the physical world, the world of form. You see it if your eyes are working. You hear it, you smell it, you taste parts of it, and you feel it. And that's a way of being nourished by it. So look at your life. Figure out the things that are nurturing you, some things you might want to try that could nurture you. Are they healthy? Can you have a healthy relationship, not where you objectify the thing that you are in relationship with or the person that you are in relationship with, but rather where you recognize that the other brings something to you and you bring something to them, and that what you bring can be a gift. Then it truly is nourishing. Then it truly is nourishing. Perhaps all that the daffodil needs from me is for me to admire it. And that's a nourishing relationship. Well, just a thought for this week. Look for the forms and the things that nourish you, and sometimes the abstinence from the thing that can nourish you as well. For those of you who in this Lenten season are giving up a food, fasting from a food, whatever it may be, that too might be nourishing when we recognize our relationship to whatever it may be, to whomever it may be. So, remember, you are infinitely precious and unconditionally loved for the person you already are, period. You don't have to do anything about that. But it might be good to nourish yourself. So give it a try and find what nourishes you, who nourishes you, how to do that in a healthy way. And until the next time, when I see you again.